Ford is one of the biggest names in the automobile industry, and their muscle cars from the 60s and 70s are a big reason for that. But did you know some of these cars are so rare you may never set your eyes on them? Well, it's true. And in today's video, we'll be checking out 8 of the rarest Ford muscle cars from the 60s and 70s, so buckle up. 8. 1970 Ford Torino Cobra, 429 SCJ. Only 1,000 units. Hold on to your seats, because the 1970 Ford Torino Cobra 429 SCJ is here to show that Ford was dead serious about performance. With its raw, untamed 429 cubic inch Super Cobra Jet V8 engine, this muscle car was ready to chew up the drag strip and spit out the competition. Generating a solid 370 horsepower, the Torino Cobra SCJ wasn't just about looking fast, it was built to be fast. What really sets this muscle car apart is the rarity factor. Ford only made around 1,000 of these bad boys with the 429 SCJ engine, making it a rare gem in the Ford performance lineup. It wasn't just a pretty face either. This was a purpose-built muscle machine. The 429 SCJ engine came with a reinforced block and a high-rise intake manifold, giving it some serious power and torque that could go toe-to-toe with any muscle car of its era. Seven. 1970 Ford Mustang Boss 429, only 500 units. The 1970 Ford Mustang Boss 429 stands as a legendary example of Ford's commitment to performance and exclusivity. Designed primarily for NASCAR homologation, Ford had to create a limited number of Boss 429 Mustangs to meet NASCAR's requirements for engine availability. With only 500 units ever produced, this car was as rare as it was powerful. Under the hood, the massive 429 cubic inch V8 engine was a true powerhouse, cranking out a solid 375 horsepower. However, many enthusiasts and experts believe the engine's true output was closer to 500 horsepower in real-world conditions, making the Boss 429 one of the most potent factory muscle cars of its era. But the Boss 429 wasn't just about raw horsepower, it was a finely tuned machine. The engine, based on the semi-Hemi design, featured a massive, cross-bolted main-bearing block and a high-rise intake manifold that was initially designed for NASCAR engines. This allowed the Boss 429 to deliver incredible torque and acceleration. The car also boasted a beefed-up suspension with front and rear sway bars, making it a true road and track monster, capable of holding its own against the best muscle cars of the time. 6. 1970 Ford Falcon GT Phase 3, only 300 units. Alright, let's kick things off with a car that was designed for one thing: winning. The 1970 Ford Falcon GT Phase 3, built by Ford Australia, made its mark as one of the fastest four-door production cars when it launched, and it's still an absolute legend. Ford wanted to showcase its racing chops in Australia, and what better way than to build a street machine with track-worthy performance. The Phase 3 packed a 351 CI V8 engine that cranked out 300 horsepower, which was monumental at the time. This car was no slouch, capable of hitting 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6.4 seconds. This was mind-blowing speed for a sedan, especially in the early 1970s. But the GT Phase 3 wasn't just about speed. This car was a salute to Ford's racing heritage, engineered specifically to dominate the Bathurst 500 racetrack, one of Australia's most iconic racing events. It was a car built to compete, to win, and to leave a lasting legacy in Australian muscle car history. With only 300 units produced, it's as rare as they come. 5. 1963 Ford Galaxy 500 Lightweight, only 212 units. Let's take a trip back to the golden age of American drag racing. The 1963 Ford Galaxy 500 Lightweight was Ford's answer to dominating the NHRA Superstock class, and boy, did it make an impact. Built to be a lightweight, drag-ready powerhouse, this car was stripped down to the bone to shed as much weight as possible while keeping the essential components needed to make it a race car. Under the hood, the Galaxy 500 was powered by a 427 CI V8 engine that produced a whopping 425 horsepower, which was no small feat back in the early 60s. But the real trick was Ford's aggressive weight-saving approach. They stripped the car of everything non-essential, including removing the soundproofing, radio, and even replacing the trunk lid with a fiberglass panel. The result was a car that was as light as it was powerful, giving it an edge in the competitive drag racing scene. Only 212 of these lightweight models were made, and they were designed purely for drag racing. Today, finding one of these lightweight galaxies is a rare occurrence, and when you do, you're looking at a true piece of racing history. Number 4, 1964 Ford Thunderbolt, only 127 units. Next, let's talk about a muscle car that is the epitome of raw, unbridled speed, the 1964 Ford Thunderbolt. When Ford decided to enter the world of drag racing in the 60s, they didn't do it half-heartedly. The Thunderbolt was a factory-backed drag racing car designed to dominate the quarter mile, and with only 127 units ever made, it's one of the rarest muscle cars Ford ever produced. Under the hood, the Thunderbolt was equipped with a monstrous 427 CI V8 engine that pumped out a jaw-dropping 425 horsepower, and with its lightweight build, this car was built for speed. Ford stripped away unnecessary weight with features like a fiberglass hood, plexiglass windows, and a minimalist interior, making the Thunderbolt a true drag strip weapon. The Thunderbolt's race pedigree is what sets it apart from other muscle cars. It wasn't just a show car, it was a purpose-built, factory-sponsored racer. These machines were designed to rip through the quarter mile with blistering speed, and they did just that. The Thunderbolt became a dominating force on the drag racing scene, taking on the best competition of the day and winning with ease. Today, it's a highly sought-after collectible among muscle car enthusiasts and collectors, and finding one is like stumbling upon a unicorn with a racing stripe. 3. 1970 Ford Mustang Twister Special, only 96 units. The 1970 Ford Mustang Twister Special is one of those cars that doesn't just boast rarity. It comes with a fascinating backstory that makes it even cooler. Initially, Ford had plans to produce a special run of Mustang convertibles for a regional promotion. However, when the company behind the promotion went bankrupt, Ford saw an opportunity to turn this unique situation into something truly special. Instead of scrapping plans, Ford decided to repurpose the idea into the Mustang Twister Special, a limited edition model based on the Mach 1. With just 96 units produced, the Twister Special was not just rare, it was exclusive. Each car was painted in the striking grabber orange, giving it an instantly recognizable and aggressive look. Under the hood, the Twister Special came equipped with a 351 Cleveland V8 engine, pushing out 290 horsepower, which made it no slouch in terms of performance either. But what really sets the Twister Special apart from other muscle cars of the era is its unique set of decals. Each of these 96 cars featured a tornado decal on the rear window, along with a sequential number marking each unit's place in the limited run. This detail further cemented its status as an incredibly rare piece of Ford history. Number 2, 1967 Ford Fairlane 500 R-Code, only 57 units. When you think of rare and powerful muscle cars, the 1967 Ford Fairlane 500 R-Code needs to be at the top of the list. Only 57 units of this ultra-rare beast were ever made, and it's still a mystery how Ford managed to keep it so exclusive. Equipped with the legendary 427 CI V8 engine, the R-Code was a powerhouse that delivered 425 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque, more than enough to take on the Mopar Hemis of the era. The R-Code Fairlane wasn't just a high-performance machine, it was also a visual knockout, featuring a fiberglass hood scoop that screamed, "I mean business," and a dash-mounted tachometer that told you when to shift, ensuring that you never missed a beat. What made the Fairlane 500 R-Code so special was its intended purpose. Ford designed it to take on the big boys, like the Hemi-powered muscle cars, while maintaining a degree of refinement and subtlety. The Fairlane wasn't about loud showmanship. It was a stealthy bruiser that could outmuscle most of its competitors without drawing too much attention. With only 57 units produced, it's one of the rarest muscle cars Ford ever made, and its presence on the road today is nothing short of a miracle. Number 1, 1967 Ford Shelby GT500 Super Snake, only 1 unit. Now let's talk about the car that tops the list, the 1967 Ford Shelby GT500 Super Snake. This car is the ultimate collector's item, one of a kind, legendary, and downright insane. Originally, Shelby had envisioned the Super Snake as a high-performance demonstration vehicle for Goodyear tires. However, what started as a promotional vehicle quickly evolved into one of the most incredible muscle cars ever created. This isn't just a rare Shelby, it's a single Shelby with only one unit ever built, making it the epitome of exclusivity. Under the hood, the GT500 Super Snake packs a Ford 27 CI V8 engine, capable of producing an insane 520 horsepower. This was a car that had all the power you could ever want, and then some. What's even more impressive is that Shelby intended the Super Snake to be a street car capable of outmuscling the GT500 in every way. With a specially tuned engine, a performance suspension, and a truly unique exhaust system, this car could accelerate with the best of them, leaving nearly every other muscle car in the dust. But the Super Snake isn't just about performance, it's about the story behind it. The car's backstory is just as wild as the car itself. Shelby and dealer Don McCain saw the potential in creating something more than just a race car. They aimed to build a car that pushed the boundaries of street performance. The result was the Super Snake. But it was more than a muscle car. It was a bold statement of what Ford and Shelby could accomplish when they weren't afraid to push the limits. Now tell us in the comments which of these rare bad boys you'd like to own. And if you want more insightful muscle car content, my channel is the only place to be.